5 months ago, we committed to the utterly genius idea of recreating 100 years of Oscar-winning films in less than 2 weeks. Spoiler alert in case you missed it, we failed our deadline miserably because we couldn't even agree on what films to recreate.
Action is the best way to go.
Felipe, most Academy Award-winning films are dramas, not Marvel movies.
Drama shit is easy to make.
Easy to make.
Yes, the cinematography on those movies is not a challenge.
Prove it.
Okay.
Well, that was easy. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to 2016 so we can start this challenge properly with one of the most stunning modern age musicals, La La Land. And here's the scene we're about to recreate. The scene opens with a silhouette wide shot of Mia auditioning for the role that is about to change her life. But bear with me because things get a lot more complicated. As she hugs Sebastian, there is a sudden dramatic change in lighting from silhouette to spotlight, and a 4-axis camera movement reveals a world globe in the foreground on which a tiny plane travels and lands in Paris. Now, the truth is that one-take scenes as complex as this one require a village, so we have to compromise some of the logistics. Let me explain. In order to conquer this scene, we need to apply the most important war tactic in history.
Divide and conquer. It means doing the scene in 2 shots.
Where exactly are we going to divide our enemy? Number 1, the big silhouette shot. And number 2, the earth globe shot. It might seem easy, but we're gonna have to build a set. The first step was to build a platform so the actors could be at a higher level than the camera. So Felipe decided to trade my most prized possession for some pallets.
You're trolling me. Where is my guitar? Papa, why are you holding my guitar?
This or that? It's a bad business.
Turns out their lame guitar prank was a scheme so I wouldn't freak out when they told me what they actually paid for those 18 pallets. Now, once we built the platform, they attempted to add a white backdrop that accidentally fell in the process and got completely wrinkled. So we had to replace it. This platform will also help us hide all the lights needed for the silhouettes, which according to Felipe will be remotely activated using DMX.
This is where things get complex because we need a new technology in order to control our lights.
And we're hoping that this technology will help us match the timing of the lighting transitions down to the millisecond.
You ready?
No, I'm not ready because someone bought an extra large dress and now I look pregnant.
I took your measurements and I thought we were recreating the whale.
So once we managed to make the dress look less like a tent, it was time to rehearse the choreography.
You're late. You're too late. What do you want me to run, a marathon?
And after we nailed our Dancing with the C-list stars act, it was finally time to set up the lights.
This is our setup. This is the software we're using to control the lights via DMX. After a month learning how to use DMX properly, I think we're ready to shoot. Let's do this.
So we did about 100 takes and moved on to the next shot. And we weren't looking forward to that 4-axis camera move, nor finding a similar world club, because it seems to have been designed by someone who failed Geography 101 as a sport. So we had to settle for this replica of a 16th century globe.
It took me a month to find it. Don't start telling me that it doesn't look the same.
This thing was over $220. Therefore, we have to be extra careful because we definitely won't be returning it once we finish this video, Jeff.
Now we need to figure out a way to make it spin on its own.
Leave that to my engineering and programming skills. I present to you the future of electronics.
Long story short, Felipe used an Arduino to program a tiny motor that's gonna make the globe spin at the exact same velocity and angle than the original shot.
Oh my god, it works! I love it.
Then we 3D printed the tiny plane that's supposed to land in Paris, we sanded it and spray painted it, we glued some trees and the Eiffel Tower on top of the globe, and placed the dolly in front of a black backdrop and the camera on a slider for the 4-axis camera movement.
After months of working on this science school project, we finally are almost done. The idea is to recreate the same kind of spotlight so that only a small part of the globe is illuminated.
While Felipe is pushing Dolly Parton, the slider will be sliding.
And then the camera is going to be tilting.
So basically, this is the Riddler coffee shot all over again, guys.
Exactly.
It's a 4-axis camera movement again, but the subject is also moving. And then there's a tiny subject on top of our subject, which Michelle is supposed to move, and I'm not qualified for that type of shit, okay? So 4 different movements within the same shot, and only 2 people.
It's like trying to hit a bullet with a smaller bullet whilst wearing a blindfold, riding a horse.
Be ready. The night is going to be long. Okay? And I don't guarantee a good result.
Well, good or not, we superimposed both shots and here are the results. So are you guys ready for the next film?
The next one in the list represents the next era of cinema and romantic bullshit. Titanic.
Is there anyone alive out there?
Come back! Come back! I'll never let go. I promise.
So we chose the iconic Rose is the most selfish character in cinema history scene to test if we could achieve this stunning monochromatic color scheme without resorting to any color grading. But first we needed to solve the impossible logistics behind Jack's sinking shot.
In here, we're going to record me sinking. We're going to put it in our living room.
In the living room?
Yes, because this is too cold here.
I don't know if this was some sort of method acting, but Felipe was clearly showing worse spatial awareness than our beloved protagonist.
You're gonna flood the entire house, Felipe. This already happened once, by the way.
That was a mistake. What other option do we have?
The jacuzzi.
That is not deep enough.
This doesn't fit inside the house.
And I knew that if I didn't stop him, we were gonna end up recreating the hallway scene through some real method acting. So I went with a different method of the Socratic kind.
What's your plan if this thing suddenly breaks inside the house? What's the plan?
Exactly. Just one rhetorical question, we went from Titanic to Inception. And in less than an hour, we had our hot tub set up. But now it was time to find the infamous door.
Can you please explain our lovely audience what we're going through?
Vintage furniture is no longer available anywhere.
Or at least not available within our tiny budget. And to make matters worse, we suddenly found out that the Titanic's infamous door wasn't even a door to begin with. It was actually a decorative section of woodwork placed above the doorway on the first-class lounge. So our chances of finding something similar inside of a thrift store were pretty much non-existent. Until we stopped looking for a door and started looking for
Abuela cord.
Once Felipe mentioned the magical words,
I need a bed for my abuela.
it's like all the actual doors opened, and Edwardian-inspired furniture started popping up everywhere. So we bought one table for less than $20 and tore it apart to repurpose some pieces in order to construct our own Titanic Franken-door decor. Then we gathered all the custom design items for a total of $55, and after recycling the Riddler's wig from the Batman video and applying $3 worth of shaving cream to simulate chunks of frozen hair, everything was finally ready to roll. Except for the weather, of course. Now, you guys will imagine that for a Titanic-themed video, our extremely professional cameraman will take the time to waterproof our camera, right? Spoiler alert, he didn't. And by the time we got the camera working again, the weather had conveniently gone from the perfect storm to Titanic.
So cold.
But James Cameron here still expected me to perform my standing duties in a soaking wet costume.
Come here, Rose.
Felipe, I cannot even stand 5 seconds here. I'm sorry.
You have to be there, please.
I guess the words director and dictator do have a lot in common after all.
We're gonna end up in a couple of days with a headline. 2 stupid millennials die of hypothermia trying to recreate Titanic. You know what? I got the solution for you. There you go. Stand in. Professional. And he doesn't talk back. Problem solved.
And now we had to solve the lighting setup.
I don't feel my ears anymore, so please go to your
We're not
position.
even gonna need the effects for the smoke, literally.
So we placed one RGB light set to blue on the upper left as our key light or moon. And we were gonna add a night sky later in post. But right before hitting record, Felipe suddenly forgot how chroma keying works.
It should have been green.
¿Por qué?
Because the light is blue. You're gonna end up eliminating my face. And Rose is not gonna be there anymore.
That shows that sometimes you are helpful.
I've saved your ass.
So after more trash talk than a Jake Paul fight, we wrapped Rose's shot, and now we were ready for Jack, which had similar lighting, but now we're gonna add a camera trick to hide the fact that our hot tub.
It's not deep enough.
So we put the camera on a slider to turn this into a pedestal shot. Basically, as Felipe sinks down, the camera is going to boom up, creating the optical illusion that he's sinking deeper than he actually is. Oh, and with the help of some set dressing, of course.
Hey, look, I'm in the middle of the ocean.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, it seems like the optical illusion worked a little too well, because I could see that he was secretly terrified to submerge himself.
You can do this. Action. Felipe, dead people don't make bubbles underwater. Are you okay?
So after recovering from that Olympic dive, he gave me about 10 more takes and we moved on to the last shot, which also used the same lighting setup, but requires Shakira's vocal range.
Is there anyone alive out there?
It's my time to shine.
Are you ready to do some yodeling? Is there anybody out there?
Is there anyone alive out there?
And here are the final results.
Is there anyone alive out there?
Come back! Come back! I'll never let go. I promise.
And last but not least,
Casablanca.
which got 8 Oscar nominations and 3 wins. And here's the scene we're about to recreate. It opens with a low-key medium shot of an aircraft engine, followed by a series of classic film noir close-ups, where Humphrey Bogart looks more annoyed than Felipe during this video.
You ready, Elsa?
Yes, I'm ready.
But more on that later. Because now we had a World War II aircraft to find for less than $100.
Trust me, I will get us the biggest plane in World War II history. I already have a couple of options. World War museums or Craigslist.
You're gonna find a World War II plane in Craigslist?
Yes, 10 feet, more than enough. We can put a plane here or in the backyard.
Clearly, Felipe was letting his imagination fly a little too high, so I had to bring him back down to earth really fast.
There's no way a museum is gonna lend you their plane and let you park it on your driveway.
Put some positivity in your heart, woman. Everything is possible.
Let's use miniatures. It already worked with the Avatar video.
It's time to be professionals. It's time to grow up.
Grow up, says the person holding a Minecraft sword. We're gonna reach World War III faster than you finding a World War II plane and someone letting you film in it.
By the time you do makeup, I will put 2 planes here, okay?
Sure.
12 feet. I think it fits.
Yes.
So he did get us into a World War II Air Force museum.
None of this is Casablanca's plane.
But inside we were gonna find much more than an aircraft.
Wow.
That is the one from Casablanca, right?
Well, we were about to find out through a World War II aircraft expert who also happened to be Casablanca's biggest fan.
What brought you to Casablanca?
That's a real Humphrey Bogart.
And he dropped a bombshell that was about to change everything. Turns out that Casablanca's iconic plane wasn't a real plane at all. Let me explain. Since Casablanca began filming just a few months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, filming on location and at airports was prohibited. So Warner Brothers had to shoot most of the film, including most of the airplane shots, inside their soundstage number 1 in Burbank. Therefore, they had to use, you guessed it,
Miniatures.
made out of plywood and cardboard. And then the DP covered everything with fog to conceal how fake it looked, which sounded like music to my ears. But Felipe was still determined to
Get us the biggest plane in World War II history. I wonder if we can rent them.
Wait, did he say yes?
How much is it?
One over there is 380. It's a one-time 30-minute flight.
To be fair, it looked almost identical, but considering we needed the plane for at least 12 hours, it was completely out of our budget. However, Felipe had a quote-unquote brilliant plan to get the plane for a huge discount.
I'm going to become a wartime pilot.
Well, or pretend he wanted to.
Trust me, once I'm on the plane, I'm going to become the best friend with that guy. He can lend us the plane for longer time so we can shoot this.
Needless to say, I wasn't impressed by his plan.
We're going to do your DI2, you're going to realize it sucks, and then we're going to go back to my original idea, and it will be a masterpiece.
Well, he was gonna have to master a ton of pieces, that's for sure.
I'm not responsible if this doesn't work because it's your idea. I need complete silence.
Basically, he needed to build this twin-engine bomber scale model that we found on clearance for $12 and modify it by adding a DC motor that cost us another $3 so the propeller could actually spin like the one in the original shot.
You can actually feel the wind.
Oh my god. Then it was just a matter of hiding the motor inside the wing, cover everything with silver and black spray paint, letting it dry, and voila!
Voila.
We had our own Casablanca model airplane for less than $18. And now we were ready for the first shot. Since this was a miniature and we were gonna use a real-size window in the background, we had to play with different focal lengths in order to achieve the 2Ps, which sounds like the perfect stage name for a reggaeton duo, but it's just a term we coined for proportion and perspective. And after many tests, we basically then we placed our little tiny plane as far away from the background. Baby, set up the lights.
Why me? It's always me. Damn.
Just one key light on the left side of the plane. Remember, this is film, nor there aren't many field lights. And no backlight, just a window that reflects. It also highlights the haze.
Oh my god, it's looking so good, guys!
And just like that, we were ready for Humphrey's close-up, for which we thrifted this hat and trench coat for $30. And Felipe managed to turn our house into a hangar with a bunch of old backdrops and $1 worth of electrical tape.
Oh, how cool! I understand now. You are recreating this window there.
I've been telling you that for 2 hours.
Oh, when did you do that?
Well, somebody was sleeping the whole afternoon.
To be fair, I was dreaming about Humphrey Bogart's face, which featured a high-contrast chiaroscuro effect. So we placed one key light on the right, no fill light, a backlight that we identified from the highlights on his bag and collar, a background light illuminating the backdrop, and a practical light that we placed outside of the window.
Action!
I think we got it.
Nailed it in one take.
There's only one more shot so we can finish this movie.
And while it looked fairly simple, perhaps it was the hardest one, because ironically, Ilsa's hat was becoming harder to find than the World War II aircraft. So Felipe tried to DIY it, and I came out looking like the Wizard of Oz scarecrow.
I look like shit.
I spent 3 hours working on the hat. Look at yourself, you look perfect.
It was far from perfect. Nothing was working. And it wasn't just the hat, it was my absolute lack of hairstyling skills. So we had to reshoot the entire thing, adding a wig that cost us $9.
I look like George Washington.
And a similar 1940s vintage hat that suddenly popped online for $42. Now, in terms of lighting, we also had to adjust everything. Because upon doing more research, I learned that the DP used two very interesting cinematography tricks to make her skin look like velvet and her eyes shine brighter than Rihanna at the Super Bowl. So in order to create a softer look, we used a pantyhose as a lens filter, and for the eye sparkles, we placed several tiny lights next to the key lights so they will reflect on my eyes. And here are the final results.
Are you ready, Elsa?
Yes, I'm ready.